with Trump's vow to deport the enemy from within, many are wondering if they'll be next. Hello viewers and welcome back to our channel. Now in this video, the pro-Palestinian community is sounding the alarm, and for a good reason. The lady in this video asks a poignant question. As a pro-Palestinian protester, is she now considered a traitor? And if so, where would she even be deported to, considering she was born in the United States to American parents? Now the answers are unsettling. As one man points out, Trump's agenda explicitly calls for deporting pro-Hamas radicals, a label that could easily be applied to anyone who dares to criticize Israel. And with the threat of denaturalization looming over their heads, even natural-born US citizens like the lady in this video could find themselves facing deportation. Now, the implications are staggering. Mass deportation would not only tear families apart, but also devastate the economy. It's a crisis that would affect everyone, regardless of your immigration status or political beliefs. So with that said, let's check out these videos as different people respond or react to her video. I will be right back.
Okay, so I have a question, and Wallah, I really want to know the answer to this. So Trump has said that he wants to deport the enemy from within, the enemy from within being political opponents, right? First off, does that include pro-Palestinian protesters? Because we know a significant portion of his funding came from Israeli lobbyists, and Netanyahu himself once called Trump the best friend that Israel has ever had in the White House. Okay, so assuming we are part of the enemy from within and simply protesting the Israeli state is enough for us to be labeled as traitors, U.S. citizens, naturalized or natural-born, can be denaturalized if they're found to have committed treason against the United States. So, assuming this happens and people like me are not only the enemy from within, but we are then denaturalized as having committed treason against the United States, where do I get deported to? I was born in the United States to parents who were born in the United States, but I'm Lebanese and Italian. Do I get deported to Lebanon? To a war zone? And since my Lebanese ancestry is on my mother's side and I therefore have no direct path to citizenship, would I then be denied from shelters because they're specifically reserved for natural Lebanese citizens? And then if I survive, and since I came to Lebanon with no residency status whatsoever and would then be liable to be deported again, where would I go if the US still has its Muslim ban in place and I wouldn't be able to enter the country legally? I know this all sounds like really wild and far-fetched, but this is specifically referencing all of the rhetoric that Trump has used over the last couple of months. So are immigration lawyers concerned about any of this? It might not happen to me, but it could happen to somebody, right?
Nothing but love for this creator. I will do my best to answer this question, but I'm going to warn you, I don't think you're going to like the answer. If you are a pro-Palestinian protester, Donald Trump wants to deport you regardless of your citizenship. As you can see on his Agenda 47 website, it is point number 18 out of only 20 points. Deport pro-Hamas radicals and make our college campuses safe and patriotic again. This is not so cleverly coded language to describe anyone who supports Palestine. If you support Palestine, if you are against Israel, you will be labeled a pro-Hamas radical, and your citizenship status is irrelevant. And specifically notice how he lumps in college campuses in that. He is specifically targeting the American citizens who came out on college campuses and protested Israel's war in Gaza. Okay, so if you're curious how the United States could deport U.S. citizens who don't have citizenship in another country, the European Union countries have already been exploring options for doing this. This is an article from The Guardian that talks about some plans. There are major doubts about the feasibility and legality of the proposed new measures. External partnerships deals under which countries such as Tunisia and Libya are paid to contain and return irregular migrants trying to cross the Mediterranean have already been heavily criticized by NGOs after revelations of serious human rights abuses here. Hotspots and return hubs are equally controversial. So what they're describing here is countries are exporting people to second-party, third-party countries, if you will. Then those people are then basically being paid to then do something with those people. The idea being we'll send them back to their original country, but we don't have to directly deport them back to their original country. We'll send them to this African country first. There was an attempt to do this. Italy had sent some people to Albania. It was a disaster. And again, this is third-party deportation. You're deporting people to another country and then expecting them to do something with those people. As is reported here in Le Monde, this is happening. It's basically a financial arrangement between wealthy countries and countries that are willing to take their money. So they were looking into deporting people to Morocco, Tunisia, and Mauritania. And again, where those people go from there, I don't think anyone in these countries care, because they're literally putting people in camps and deserts and leaving them to be then human or die. And as this article points out, this was being done, a deal was being set up between Germany and Rwanda. And all of these deals are facing a lot of criticism and are getting scrapped. But that's kind of the direction that things are going right now, is that there are countries willing to play ball and willing to accept human bodies without any realistic plan to do anything with them, to send them to an appropriate country or anything for a payoff. So elsewhere, German Special Commissioner for Migration Agreements, Joachim Stamps, sorry, I don't know how to speak German, has suggested that migrants who enter the EU irregularly via the eastern borders could be deported to Rwanda, and that the German government could make use of the facilities that were paid for by the UK as part of its now abandoned Rwanda scheme. So the UK was trying to do a deal with Rwanda, and there was backlash to that, so they abandoned it. So Germany's like, oh, well, we'll just send our migrants to these camps. Speaking to the Table Briefings podcast, Stamp described the people who arrived in Germany irregular via Belarus and Russia as elements in the two countries' leaders' hybrid warfare against the West. So there are countries out there who are willing to play ball. If you give them money, they will accept human bodies, regardless of where they're from and regardless of where they belong. And what happens to them after that is anybody's guess. But I think that is how they would try and actually execute this plan. Sorry to say.
Please go back and watch that video. That video talks about the denaturalization process and what that would look like. If this is implemented, that means that protests will practically become illegal. And if you protest and they have the means to prove that you or your family came here, they would be able to deport you. There are people who will absolutely take this risk, and I commemorate you for that. But there are also people who will not be able to take this risk with you. So the next 4 years at least, there will not be many protests. We need to be organizing on online spaces. However, we need to make sure that they're behind encryption, because people are watching. You don't give the enemy your tactics. I just saw a video a while ago where apparently right-wing women have decided to take on the whole blue bracelet thing and wear red bracelets. I've also seen videos where people are sharing comments of alt-rights saying that they're going to wear blue bracelets. Like, let's say that that was a good idea. Stop telling everybody what you're doing. You want to know why the right seems so smart? It's because these conversations are happening on an open platform. They don't have to infiltrate anything. We give them everything that they need. We have to stop giving the other side all the leverage.
If you go and watch that video, it's asking like a pro-Palestine protester is going to get deported, denaturalized. And that made me wonder, because I'm Puerto Rican. I was born in citizenship and my homeland is technically in the United States. What would they do with me? Where would they send me? Where could they possibly send me? It's like, yeah, we're going to send you back where you came from. I came from Puerto Rico. You're going to take the long way around? Try to send me to Spain or Africa? Because I hate to tell you, part of my ancestry was just, they were on the island. Like, you have three options, and one of them's just the U.S.
Now, before the elections, Donald Trump did make mention that if elected in November, he would deport anti-Israel pro-Palestinian student protesters. This is according to the Washington Post, referring to anti-Israel protests amid the ongoing war against Hamas in the Gaza Strip that swept U.S. college campuses in the last 7 months. Now, Donald Trump vowed to defeat the radical revolution, according to sources who heard him speak at a May 14 donor event that he described as including 98% of my Jewish friends. If you get me re-elected, we are going to set that movement back 25 or 30 years. It has to be stopped now, he said. One thing I do is any student that protests, I throw them out of the country. You know, there are a lot of foreign students. As soon as they hear that, they are going to behave, he vowed. Now, Trump also praised the New York Police Department for clearing up protest encampments and a building occupation at Columbia University and encouraged other cities to do the same. He previously said it was beautiful to watch police moving, and the report also cited donors who were present but spoke on condition of anonymity as it was a private event. And you know, you go back through history, this is like just before the Holocaust. Trump reportedly said, if you look, it's the same thing. You had a weak president or head of the country, and it just built, and then all of a sudden you ended up with Hitler. You ended up with a problem like nobody knew, he said. Now, commenting on the war in Gaza sparked by Palestinian T group Hamas's October 7 devastating attack in southern Israeli communities, Trump reportedly expressed support for Israel's right to continue its war on terror. But he noted, I'm one of the only people that says that now, and a lot of people don't even know what October 7th is. In Washington and especially in Congress, Israel is losing its power. Now, Trump has been critical of Israel and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu since he left office, including in the aftermath of the Hamas unaliving that unalived 1,200 people on October 7, mostly civilians. He reportedly made no mention of the Israeli leader at the donor event. Trump was said to repeatedly tout the steps he took for Israel while in office, including moving the U.S. embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem and recognizing Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights, which was captured from Syria in the 1967 Six-Day War. He also put a monetary value on the plateau, saying he was told the real estate is worth $2 trillion, but it's worth more than that. It is, he said. Now, Trump also expressed his dismay that there are Jewish Americans who would vote for incumbent U.S. President Joe Biden by then to have a second term rather than back him as the Republican candidate. How can a Jewish person vote for a Democrat, and Biden in particular, but forget Biden? They always let you down, he said of Democrats. To be honest, people are really scared that student protesters could be in the crossfire of the Trump administration's crackdown on colleges, with activists increasingly concerned about freedom of speech for pro-Palestinian advocates. Now, those on campus have already seen stricter rules around demonstrations this academic year, but President-elect Trump, as a candidate, threatened protesters with everything from military action to deportation. Now, while there has already been harsh crackdowns and repression across the country under the Biden administration, there is concern of a Trump administration ramping up and taking even more extreme, unlawful and unconstitutional crackdowns on student protesters who speak out against U.S. support for Israel's genocide of Palestine. Trump has repeatedly floated deportation as a punitive tool, threatening to take away the visas from international students. Trump has threatened mass deportations of millions of people, including students. Immigrants are a vital part of our communities, and we stand against his threatened use of violence, law enforcement, intimidation, and the separation and breakdown of families that will result from his threatened actions, said Shabak. Now, the president-elect has also regularly threatened financial repercussions for colleges and universities as a way of imposing his agenda. Legal experts fear the schools may soon face outside pressure to exert their own repercussions on their student bodies, particularly as Trump rolls out a cabinet full of loyalists. Now, in his last administration, he did appoint Kenneth Marcus, who pioneered the strategy of misusing Title VI of the Civil Rights Act to try to censor speech critical of Israel on college campuses, said senior staff attorney with Palestine Legal. So I do think that there's a very, very strong possibility that he will appoint people who are looking to quash the movement for Palestinian rights, either by redefining or using definitions of anti-Semitism that make it impossible to criticize Israel. Now, pro-Palestinian protesters have already faced a challenging environment under the Biden administration, with schools releasing stricter rules around protesting over the summer, so the encampments that cancelled some graduation ceremonies last spring cannot happen again. I can't speak for all students, but over the past year, students have shown their resolve, bravery, and ingenuity under a hostile Biden administration. And while dealing with hostile school administrations, law enforcement agencies, and district attorneys, he said. Now, since Trump was elected, he has quickly shown he will remain staunchly pro-Israel. As of this writing, the president-elect has so far only announced an ambassador for one nation, Israel, with Mike Huckabee, a self-proclaimed Zionist, getting the nod. Now, Trump had also spoken to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu 3 times in the week since Election Day. Back in October, the Washington Post reported Trump told Netanyahu in a phone call to do what you have to do. And well before he takes office, experts say free speech is under attack at colleges. Even professors right now are having their syllabus equation being taught by administrators to stick the syllabus and to not talk about Israel and Palestine. So there's just like this environment that's happening right now, and we're expected to intensify with Trump. In all honesty, a lot of people and a lot of things are at risk. But what do you, our viewers, have to say about this? Share your thoughts, your views on what you think about this video in the comment section. Thank you for always watching, and see you in my next video as we bring you another interesting video.